and welcome back to my channel, True Crime Files. I'm Kathy. I'll give it a few couple seconds for people to come in. I'm still new on this YouTube channel, so obviously, even though I've got over 100 subscribers, not every subscriber is going to be online all at the same time. So my lives are few and far between. I'll probably try and do one live a day. But it's it all takes a while before you get actual people coming in on to join you on the live. So today's case is going to be Moirah Wilson. I'll just give it a minute before I sort of explain the details. So I hope everyone's having a nice, what day is it? Thursday today. I had to think then, tomorrow's Good Friday. Wow, means chocolate on Sunday. Chocolate for breakfast. Right, what I should do is I should carry on, and then if anyone does pop in on my live, then I can perhaps try and explain it a little bit more, because I've got a few things to go through. So it's going to take a while for it to go ahead. Well, Moirah Wilson, she was known as Mo for short. Moirah was a rising American professional cyclist, widely regarded as one of the most promising young talents in gravel and off-road racing. She grew up in Vermont in an athletic family. So, if you've got an athletic family, you're probably going to take on that role as well. She dominated a major gravel and mountain bike events, including the 2021 Big Sugar Gravel and 2022 Sea Otter Classic. She left her engineering job to specialize pursuing racing full-time as her career rapidly accelerated. Now, sadly, let me see if I can go back. Sadly, she was murdered by this lady here, Kaitlin Armstrong, over jealousy. And there is a Netflix documentary coming out. And I've checked for myself in the UK, and it's out tomorrow on the 3rd of April. Yeah, April now. I had to think. Thought we were still in March. So I will be watching that one for sure tomorrow when it comes out. Gives me something to watch on Good Friday, doesn't it? So, where was my words? Just to remind me. So, her life and aftermath of her death are focus of a Netflix documentary, Truth and Tragedy of Moirah Wilson, which explores her athletic brilliance and impact of the loss and emotional ripples felt across the cycling community. So, like I said, her life was sadly taken away. I think the documentary has body cam footage, first person's accounts, police investigation details, all those sort of things. It might tell you on this one here, if I go to law and crime, there we go. If I just start sharing it. I'll try and stop any adverts. Oops. Hang on, bear with me, guys. I didn't realize you couldn't see it. So if I take this person off, then you should be able to. There we go. Sorry, I didn't realize you couldn't see what was going on.
And not convinced that want to be like life partners with her.
And prompting an international search for a fugitive on the run.
It was almost the equivalent of taking a brick and throwing it through a stained glass window. Why in the world would you want to destroy someone that's beautiful?
They're jealous and they're a monster. See if there's any adverts coming on.
Hey there, everybody. I'm Jesse Weber, and welcome to Prime Crime, where we break down the most compelling and memorable true crime cases from across the country. Our next story takes us down south to Austin, Texas in May of 2022. The callous killing of a young athlete sends shockwaves throughout the community, and the pursuit of justice takes a very unpredictable journey across borders in this tale of jealousy and murder.
Austin 911.
It always goes
I need
together.
EMS.
Tell me exactly what happened.
My friend is staying with me, and I just walked in, and she's laying on the bathroom floor, and I don't know what happened. I can't tell what happened.
May 11th, 2022. Kaitlin Cash has just arrived back at her apartment to find her friend, 25-year-old Moriah Wilson, lying on the floor of her bathroom.
Is she awake?
She's not
weird
awake.
that
There's
it would
blood
not
all over her
have-
face and all on the back of her head.
Is she breathing?
No, she's not
Okay.
breathing.
I'm going to tell you how to do chest compressions. Count out loud so I can count with you.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Good.
When Kaitlin Cash came back to her house, I don't think she had any reason to believe that anything was wrong. This is a relatively compact home. And so it's pretty easy to have line of sight from where the front door is to sort of the laundry area.
8, 9, 10.
Keep going, kid. There's a lot of help coming as fast as they can. Keep going. There might be a police officer coming in soon. That's okay. Don't leave her alone and don't stop.
50, 60. I hear them.
Okay, that's good. Keep going. Don't leave her alone. They'll come to you. Just keep going.
I can't even begin to imagine the horror that she experienced at that moment in time, because this is a surreal event. She was a real hero in this because she tried to
Look at
save
the
her
doggy.
friend's life. Unfortunately, it didn't work.
By the time first responders arrive on scene, they're too late.
Austin Police!
Do I stop?
What,
I don't know what happened. I just walked in on her.
Sit up.
It almost looked like she had been the victim of a beating. There was clearly blood in and around her head.
There's a shell casing right here next to my right knee.
There's another one right here.
We got 3 shell casings.
Silver medication.
At least. All right, pause just a second, buddy. Yeah, headshot. Nobody heard any shots? We don't know how long she's been down? No.
Pretty early on, they determined that this was something other than, say, for instance, a natural event. Mo had sustained essentially 3 gunshot wounds. Mo has got a wound that passes through her hand. This gives us an indication that she's throwing it up almost in a defensive posture. And this round actually winds up striking her in the head. And there's another gunshot wound to the head. But even more interesting is the fact that she has got what's referred to as a through and through gunshot wound. Center mass to the chest would actually passes through the heart and create a divot in the floor.
Wow.
Law enforcement immediately pick up the fact that it doesn't look like any type of burglary or robbery. Nothing's disheveled around the house, drawers opening. Really doesn't.
You would think if you're going to murder someone by gunshot that you would, pick up your shell casings. And that's what most people would do. Excuse me. Ugh. I got some new pain tablets to start taking now. So I'm hoping I can get more than 3 hours of sleep a night. So I do apologize if I yawn.
Doesn't appear like anything's missing. And that execution style killing immediately takes me to this was personal.
Police at the scene need to get a better idea of what they might be dealing with, so they speak with Kaitlin Cash.
Is your friend my boyfriend? No. She doesn't live here.
What's her name?
Her name is Moriah. Moriah is her middle name. Her first name is Anna.
You said she's from San Francisco?
I thought it was
Well, she's from
Moirah.
Vermont, but she's living in San
So
Francisco.
she came to visit you.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'm just here for a bike race this weekend.
Moirah Wilson, or Mo Wilson for short, is originally from New England, really. And she had grown up a lot of her life skiing. And from that, she got
Yeah,
into cycling and all kinds of other sports. She was an extremely athletic young lady. And she sort of was taking the cycling world by storm.
She is someone you could classify as a top tier athlete. She's into mountain bike racing, and that's a completely different level. Anybody that had come to know Mo pretty much had nothing but glowing things to say about her. It was almost the equivalent of taking a brick and throwing it through a stained glass window. Why in the world would you want to destroy someone that's beautiful?
Do you know if she's talking to anyone or any friends? I know you say you don't fucking live here. I knew she was with her friend Colin. Colin? Yeah. Colin Strickland. I left to go have dinner with my friends, and then I came back. Yeah, this is my house. That's your house? This is my house. She's staying with me. Okay.
Did you see a gun or anything like that in there when you were in there? When law enforcement gets on scene, on any type of crime scene, the biggest thing we're looking at is crime scene preservation. Detectives are going to start looking for shell casings, looking for a murder weapon, canvassing inside, out.
Officers search the immediate area, and they find something out of place, a puzzle piece. They're not sure where it fits.
That's her bike cover. Yeah.
So where would the bike be? Where would she keep her bike?
I mean, it would be right inside the door.
Is there a bike? 1708. Anywhere? You see a bike? She said she would put it right by the door. No bike.
As they are looking around the crime scene, a short distance away in like a heavy kudzu kind of wooded area, they find Mo Wilson's bicycle.
Hey, come here. Somebody might be in here. This might be the bike, okay? Over there. Airport 32, I located the bike.
They knew that maybe, just maybe, there was some value in this, because who would take what is a pretty expensive bicycle and merely just toss it over into the weeds, as it were?
And that's not the only thing detectives find. Cameras on nearby homes capture what could be key evidence that only adds to the mystery of the case.
One of the things that they do look for are patterns. Are there people loitering outside in and around the time of the crime? Are there vehicles making multiple trips in and around the scene of the crime? And what they ultimately did see was an SUV circling the neighborhood.
There's a dark colored SUV with a bike rack on the back. Unfortunately, they can't get a license plate from the vehicle because the bike rack's in the way. But it's right close to the crime scene, and throughout that day, it drives by there several times.
And as investigators canvass the neighborhood further, they make another chilling discovery.
More and more evidence is being discovered. They realize there's a gentleman close by that has Ring doorbell. The footage may be one of the most chilling Ring doorbell footages I've ever watched in my life. You actually hear some type of altercation followed by 3 gunshots.
It's incredibly sad.
Awful.
You hear pops, which we know now.
That is absolutely terrifying to hear. The last one was like probably just to make sure that you're dead. It's such a crying way, because normally it only takes one shot to kill someone. If you do it straight in the head or in the heart, I don't know, because I've never killed anyone. But that's what I would presume. And if for whatever reason, touch wood, it never happens, after doing all these crime documentaries and videos and listening to stories and documentaries, if my mind was to go schizo and I, God forbid, landed up unaliving someone, I think I could get away with a perfect murder, because we know all the things what you shouldn't do. You know, you make sure you don't leave any traces behind you. You make sure there's no CCTV cameras in the way. You make sure there's no evidence whatsoever that ties you to that person. And my theory is on the perfect unaliving weapon. If you live in countries where you get a lot of snow and then you get some massive icicles when it starts melting, the bigger the icicle, the better that it is used as a murder weapon. Yep. You wouldn't think it, You wouldn't think an icicle could kill somebody, but if you say like broke a big icicle off a roof or shed or somewhere, and you actually stab somebody with it, yes, it can cause problems, damage. I have seen, good few years ago, someone that was murdered by an icicle. And of course, there's no DNA. And generally, I say no DNA. Unless it leaves a puddle of water, I don't know if you could get DNA from that. But in my opinion, if you can't get DNA from water, which I don't think you can, then the ice pick is a perfect murder weapon. One, it's sharp enough and strong enough to injure somebody. And two, if you, I guess, did it in the heart or caught a main vein in somebody's body, that's it. They're gone. So, yes, it makes you wonder what our minds stray to, doesn't it, when you're watching so many crime stories, and when you listen to something, you automatically think, well, if that was me, I wouldn't have done that. I would have done it this way. So you start thinking like a murderer. It's crazy. So carry on.
Was the gun being fired, as well as a scream. One of the interesting things about this case, which you don't always get, is an exact time of death and an exact time when the crime occurred.
So now we have the Ring doorbell footage. You get a timestamp right there on it, and a suspect vehicle, or at least a vehicle that we need to look at a little bit further. So Colin Strickland, that's probably someone that they may want to talk to next.
Coming up next, with the clock ticking, investigators need to get to the bottom of things, and that means talking to Colin Strickland.
It's just so far beyond the realm of reality that I live in, or I thought.
I think it pretty much goes without saying that Colin Strickland was a person of interest. Whether it's an intimate nature or not, still, you've got this interaction. So he's going to be at the top of the list.
I really hate this camera. No, that makes no difference, does it? I'm not going to sit solidly still.
Anytime two parties have obviously had some type of relationship, and you were the last person to see Mo Wilson, you better have a dang good alibi.
Wednesday, May 11th, 2022, Austin, Texas. Police are investigating the cold-blooded killing of 25-year-old up-and-coming cyclist Moriah Wilson, a.k.a. Mo, who was visiting from out of town to attend an annual racing event in nearby Hico. Mo was staying with her friend Kaitlin Cash and had just arrived back at the apartment. That's when police believe she was possibly ambushed and shot several times, left for dead on the bathroom floor.
When was the last time you saw her? You had eyes on her?
I left for dinner at 5:30.
So you left for dinner at 5:30. What time did you come back?
Right 2 minutes before I called 911.
With Mo being from out of town, she has few connections in Austin, which at first leaves police at a loss for possible leads. That is until Kaitlin Cash gives police a name, a man Mo has been growing closer to in recent months.
Did her and Collins have an argument at all, do you know?
I don't have any idea. The only thing I know is she said I'm meeting him to go swimming.
Okay. And what time was that? 5 p.m. today?
Yeah.
Colin Strickland himself was actually well known in the cycling world, and he was pretty highly decorated.
Much of the public believes that homicides are stranger on stranger crimes. They're not. Generally, it's going to be somebody that's in the victim's orbit. Not knowing the nature of the relationship that Colin Strickland had with Mo, he's going to be number one on their list. They're going to have to check him off.
Police tracked down 35-year-old Colin Strickland the next morning to see if he could potentially be involved.
Colin? Yes. Person? Yeah. Do you know Anna? Mo. And then Mo. Yeah. Everybody calls her Mo. Last name is Wilson. Rider. She's a gravel rider. Yes, I do.
The two of them had met because Colin was also a professional cyclist. And Mr. Strickland is actually very complimentary of Ms. Wilson in everything he has to say. He talks about how talented she is, how much of a future she has in this cycling realm.
Her professional world, as you can imagine, is a very small world. It's not surprising that Mo would have struck up a friendship, perhaps a relationship with Colin.
There's really no easy way to say this. So apparently last night she passed away. How did? Yeah. Right now it's an open investigation, but it is being investigated as a homicide. Okay. Okay.
Colin Strickland's in his garage area, and they deliver that news. And immediately it is a look of shock, a blank stare, and like the life has been taken out of Colin Strickland.
Strickland offers up what he says was his last interaction with Mo the previous night, shortly before she was killed.
We went to Betty yesterday afternoon, and then Big Burger, and I dropped her at her the apartment she's been staying at with her friend Pat.
That day, she and Mr. Strickland had met up to go to sort of a community pool, and they hung out there. Then they went and got dinner.
There's actually surveillance footage of them eating. Everything seems normal and fine, but that's the last person she was seen with. Colin goes to drop Mo off. She goes to the door. She knows the PIN code on the door handle to be able to get in, goes inside, and that's where things take a turn for the worse.
It's believed that he dropped her off at home. About 1 to 2 minutes from when she was dropped off, an intruder came in and took her life.
There's other evidence to suggest that she was being followed. There was actually CCTV footage, and it demonstrates Colin driving away on his motorcycle.
The rest of that particular interview hasn't been publicly released, but according to case documents, police noticed several cars in Strickland's driveway, including one that looks very familiar.
When police go to talk to Mr. Strickland, they kind of take an inventory of vehicles that are there. That's incredibly normal. You take the plates, you run the plates. They found BMW, Mercedes, Jeep. He does say that the 2012 Jeep Cherokee that's there is not his vehicle.
They're thinking in their minds, okay, we've got this kind of nondescript, dark-colored SUV that we saw on CCTV. Could this be the same vehicle?
Law enforcement asks, well, whose SUV is that? And he says, well, that's my roommate, who's my on and off again girlfriend, Kaitlin Armstrong's.
Strickland volunteers to speak with investigators more at the police station, where they learn quite a bit about his relationship with then 34-year-old Kaitlin Armstrong.
Has Kaitlin ever gotten so mad in the past that, not necessarily thinking that she would do anything, but I mean, has she ever threatened anything, or?
She's always seemed like such a mild, gentle person. Mm-hmm. That's all I can say. It doesn't make sense.
Just going to take my headphones off because it certainly is.
Colin Strickland, great cyclist, meets Kaitlin Armstrong in that tight-knit community. They start a relationship, they move in together, and it's kind of this on and off relationship for about 3 years. They even start a business together where they're restoring trailers, things like that. When they are broken up, Colin Strickland meets Mo Wilson, and they really hit it off.
Colin and Mo had a casual romantic relationship, really for about a month or two, but then that seemingly kind of fizzled out. And part of why that fizzled out is because Mr. Strickland's girlfriend, Kaitlin Armstrong, Mo Wilson was dating Colin, who Kaitlin claimed to be her current boyfriend, but what he claimed to be is that they were on a break.
Knowing Caitlin's vehicle is there, what do you think took place?
I know most of these people I can't imagine. It's just so far beyond the realm of reality that I live in, or I thought. So that's what I'm struggling.
I'm asking you, what do you think? Is she capable
I
of doing
don't
something
believe
like
I
this?
wouldn't be living with a person who I think is capable of doing this. So the answer is no. I don't believe it.
I really love her. I've been not convinced that I'm want to be like life partners with her. We'd be better business partners and friends.
Good job for
So as law enforcement continues their questioning of Colin Strickland, and they ask him, do you own any firearms? He comes right out and says, yeah, I'd purchased 2 handguns in the past.
Austin Police Department came with a search warrant of his home. They did find 2 9mm handguns.
He was very forthcoming. He said, actually, I purchased 2 just a while back. Really? You did?
And there's a little
As a matter of fact, I bought one from a girlfriend, Kaitlin Armstrong. And not only that, both he and she had gone to the firing range in order to practice. The police at that point in time knew that they were onto something.
Coming up, investigators now need to speak with Kaitlin Armstrong. Could she somehow be involved?
It sounds like you may have some information, may have witnessed something, so I just wanted to chat with you about some stuff. Are you familiar with what you have going on with that?
I have no idea.
Hey, everybody, we'll get you right back to that Armstrong story in just a minute. But before we do, I want to thank our incredible sponsor here on Prime Crime, Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury claim at For the People V, seen on surveillance footage circling the neighborhood where 25-year-old Mo Wilson was killed. Kaitlin was in an on and off relationship with Colin Strickland, a fellow cyclist Mo had recently gotten to know better. When detectives discover there's an existing active warrant for Armstrong on an unrelated charge, they track her down.
Just a quick pat down real quick.
You're here for a warrant right now, I guess. Are you familiar with what you have going on with that?
I have no idea.
Okay, so I guess it was like a theft of service warrant, something kind of minor. Nothing. Okay.
A theft of service warrant basically is saying she received a service and didn't pay for it. And that's what they ultimately brought her in on.
She didn't pay for her Botox treatment. What a wild type of warrant that's for. But that gives them probable cause now to go and approach her and arrest her and bring her in on that charge.
Can you give me any information on what you're talking about?
As far as the warrant or as far as everything else?
As far as the warrant.
Yeah, so I don't know too much. I guess it's just a theft of service. Usually that's like something like didn't pay for something pretty minor.
Can you tell me what it was that was the theft of service?
I can look. I'm not sure what it is at this point, but because you are here and because you were under arrest for that portion of it, we always have to read Miranda and stuff because I want to talk to you about some other stuff that's unrelated to that.
As the police begin to tighten their focus in regards to Mo, police want to get to the heart of the matter. And you can tell that she's progressively getting more and more uncomfortable in this environment. She's trying to understand what exactly is theft of service. But you can tell that the emphasis is not necessarily on that particular charge.
The reason I'm here is because your name came up during a conversation with Colin. I think there's a lot more information that you have that can kind of explain some of the stuff he's saying.
I've never heard of this warrant before that you're talking about, and it
yeah,
doesn't seem like you can give me any information on it.
So,
that you want to. Are they knocking here?
I think it's for something else. So with the warrants.
They bring Kaitlin Armstrong in on that theft of service warrant. They do explain to her what it is, but it was filed incorrectly. And it was filed with the incorrect birth date.
Apparently that warrant, the date of birth was wrong. So it had your name, but the date of birth is wrong. So it's to a different person. So that's not, you're not under arrest, okay?
Okay.
I know, it's a little crazy.
They just came to my house and put me in handcuffs for no reason.
So there was a warrant that they thought was you. Apparently the date of birth was off. So this is going to be consensual at this point because you're not under arrest. The door is unlocked. You can leave at any time. So
I would love to leave.
With the incorrect birth date. It's not a valid warrant. Therefore, she's free to go.
Do I need an attorney here?
I would really like to talk to you and clear some stuff up because Colin did bring your name up, and I think there's a lot more information that you have that can kind of clear some stuff up. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I feel like I should have an attorney present.
So that's totally your choice.
That kind of just clears the air. Hey, listen, you were actually free to go. But before you leave, just real quick, I had a few questions to ask you. And they're starting to lay that foundation out to start to ask her more questions about where she was the night of Mo Wilson's murder. Now, Kaitlin Armstrong immediately kind of puts her guard up.
He would love to
just arrested me in front of my house, in front of all of my neighbors, and carried me in here in handcuffs in front of downtown Austin. It was incredibly humiliating.
Imagine.
She does ask multiple times, like, can I leave? Can I leave? Can I leave? She never says once, I would like an attorney. So invoking your right to counsel. She just asks, do I need one? But in my opinion, that's not the same thing.
And I'm so sorry. I don't have control over that part. Okay. So let me kind of did you hear about what's happened over the past 24 hours?
Colin walked in the house and said one of the women in the cycling community passed away.
Yes. Yeah. While Colin was talking to us, your name came up. And it sounds like there's a lot of stuff that's going on. And it sounds like, you know, Colin's been maybe talking to this girl for a little bit and kind of threw your name in there. I think he might be saying some stuff, and I want to get your side of it, okay? Because there's always two parts of it. He's got a very different version of everything that's going on. And so when we only hear one side, it only gives us one side to work with.
Her behavior is telling to me that she will sit there and have the details of the theft of service warrant explained to her. And then when it turns to Colin Strickland and Mo Wilson, she wants to leave.
It sounds like there were some issues between you and this girl, and I think that there's probably a lot more to it that you could help explain.
Okay, I'm not sure exactly what you mean or what information.
Well, it sounds like maybe he went out with this girl the other day, and maybe it sounds like from what he's saying that you were a little upset about it.
That is not accurate.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to chat with you, because it's a guy. He's going to say stuff. And so we want to make sure that we get both sides of the story and everything and clear it up.
She's cagey about it. At that point, she doesn't want to speak to them. But at the same time, I think she wants to know what they know. And that's why she does hang around for a while.
What were you doing yesterday?
I would like to leave, I think.
That's completely your choice, but understand if you do, then we only have one side of the story to go on.
Mm-hmm.
And don't you think that makes her more sounding suspicious and guilty of the murder of Moriah, as she's called? You know, if you're getting really uncomfortable and you've been told that you can get up and leave at any time in the interview, that's just going to make you more suspicious. You know, if I was her, I would have just, you know, killed it out. I would have just stayed there and sort of like thinking, oh my God, I need to try and act as innocent as I can. So I'm going to stay here. So don't incriminate me. But obviously she's not as strong as she thinks she is.
What is very interesting is her body language during this interview. Initially, she's very just relaxed, but a little arrogant and cocky as they are talking to her. And as that investigator kind of starts to open up that door and ask about Colin Strickland and issues that she had had with Mo Wilson, that's where you see her become more uncomfortable, and she is ready to get out of there as quickly as possible.
I just am uncertain as to even what you mean or what he could have said, because I didn't have any idea that he saw or went out with this girl.
Has he been like talking to her
I would
on
like
the
to
side?
leave. I don't actually know, and I would like to leave.
In one final push for information, the investigator confronts Armstrong about her SUV.
She doesn't give up.
Your vehicle was seen next to her house when he's saying this stuff, and then your vehicle is seen. Like, I want to be able to explain, okay, there's a logical explanation for this. Maybe you were upset and you were just in the area or something. Like, I don't know, because I don't have your story. When I can't explain that and all I see is that your vehicle's over there, that kind of makes it look not too good, right?
When the part about the vehicle being seen in the area is brought up, Kaitlin Armstrong immediately wants to distance herself and get the heck out of that room. As an investigator, that is what I like to call a clue. Someone that doesn't want to lay out their side of the story.
When we're talking to Colin and we're hearing like, yeah, there was some jealousy stuff going on, like that doesn't sound very good.
I would like to leave if I'm free to leave.
Okay. Is there any explanation as far as why the vehicle would be over there?
Now she'll have time to think of it, wouldn't she?
Police really don't have any other choice but to release her. They weren't serving a warrant to arrest her for the death of Moirah Wilson. They don't have enough, quite frankly, to arrest her. However, I think what that shows them, though, is this is our probably prime suspect.
It becomes clear as the investigation moves forward, Kaitlin Armstrong is someone detectives need to keep a close eye on.
And now what police are really going to do is working on subpoenaing her cell phone records, any digital evidence, any forensic evidence that they can garner, as well as really honing in on that 2012 Jeep Cherokee that she drives.
Kaitlin Armstrong decides that it's time to sell the Jeep. So she goes to a car dealership, sells the Jeep.
Typically, when you see a suspect liquidating things to get, over $1,000 in cash, that is a very telltale sign that they're looking to flee.
At this point, detectives seem to have an idea of what possibly happened the night Mo Wilson was killed. But as officials are keeping track of Kaitlin Armstrong, she somehow falls off the map.
She then boards a flight up to New York, flies into there where her sister lives close by, and is there at her.
I'll be right back, guys. Now I've taken that thick fleece off. My arms are cold. There's no happy medium with me. I'm either hot or I'm cold and that. So I'm just going to find something else to put on. I'm not putting that one back on because it's too thick.
Her sister's house a short time.
The thing that came into most handy in terms of looking for her was the airport surveillance video of sort of her yoga mat going through security at the Austin airport. They knew that she went from Austin to LaGuardia because that was all in her name. When she left, they were able to track her name on that flight. It's there that the case sort of went cold.
That's when local law enforcement decide to call in the big guns. Several federal and international agencies join the search for Kaitlin Armstrong.
She is off the radar, gone. We have an investigation that's gone from Austin to New York, New Jersey area, and this is where this case takes a wild turn.
Hey, everybody, we're going to get you right back to the Armstrong case in just a minute. But before we do, I want to thank Truthfinder for sponsoring this episode, which makes a lot of sense since so many of the stories we cover on Prime Crime, you got to ask yourself, how well do we really know the people in our lives? It's a scary thing to think about, but Truthfinder is a service that can maybe help because it is one of the largest public records search services in the United States. You go on their website, truthfinder.com, and you type in a name. And within minutes and a paid subscription purchase, you can access unlimited reports that can include information like phone numbers, location history, criminal and traffic records, including possible arrests, criminal convictions. Also, if you type in an address within the report, it may show you registered sex offenders in that area too. So whether it's researching new dates or friends or reconnecting with people, Truthfinder is a great tool to use. And right now, you can get 50% off of confidential background reports. Just go to truthfinder.com/LCPrimeCrime.
The focus of the investigation is becoming tighter and tighter. And right now, Kaitlin Armstrong is rising to the top.
Authorities are working to track down 34-year-old Kaitlin Armstrong, who's disappeared amid the murder investigation into the shooting death of 25-year-old cyclist Moriah Mo Wilson. Investigators have put together several pieces of the case and have determined Armstrong is likely the one responsible, but she's nowhere to be found. That is until authorities make some headway.
Law enforcement reaches out to the sister and come to find out sister's passport is missing. So that gives law enforcement the opportunity to say, oh my gosh, we've checked flight logs under Kaitlin Armstrong. We need to see if the sister's name has been used.
it was in the realm of possibility that she would have fled the country. And so at that point, put out an alert about her rather than just simply a domestic alert.
They look at flight logs under the sister's name, and lo and behold, guess where it is? Costa Rica.
But several weeks go by without a trace of Kaitlin Armstrong. Federal agents make one last attempt to lure her out of hiding.
Law enforcement solicit the help of the United States Marshal Service. That is their bread and butter, tracking down fugitives. And this is a very heavily tourist area, which makes it very difficult for them. But they start looking into hostels. Kaitlin Armstrong was an avid yoga instructor. And so they thought maybe she's down there teaching yoga. And in one last ditch effort, they decide they're going to put a Facebook ad out saying that a hostel is looking for a yoga instructor.
The very astute hostel stayer actually befriended her and then started realizing that this could be her. She responded to the ad, but the people waiting for her was law enforcement.
Kaitlin Armstrong was captured on June 29th by foreign officials in the Republic of Costa Rica, where she was detained on an immigration violation and deported back to the United States.
She was in Costa Rica, living in a hostel, sort of living her best yoga life. She had different names. She even went so far as to get a nose job.
Armstrong fled the Austin area.
So she's definitely gone as far as she can to change her appearance and, you know, to try and disguise herself and that. But, you know, you can run, but you can't hide. That's my motto anyway.
Days after being interviewed, Armstrong was detained by authorities at the Don Johns Hostel located in Santa Teresa Beach following a 43-day fugitive investigation. She dyed her hair brown, she cropped her hair shorter, and had a bandage on her nose where she claimed it was from a surfboard incident.
Law enforcement starts diving into the forensic evidence, cell phone data. What we start to see is that Kaitlin Armstrong, because of her business relationship with Colin Strickland, she's actually able to go in and read his text messages, see who he's calling, read his emails. It was during that time that Kaitlin Armstrong starts to have her suspicions on Strickland's relationship with Mo Wilson.
She really began to sort of harass Mo Wilson. Kaitlin sent her nasty text messages, phone calls, essentially digitally stalked her. But I think she reached a point where she really wasn't getting any more reaction. And she assumed that the two were still involved in a romantic relationship. That's when she decided to do what she was going to do.
Kaitlin Armstrong is charged with murder. But while she's in custody ahead of trial, there's another crazy twist.
So as Kaitlin is waiting for her trial date, at some point they have to transport her to a medical facility, doctor's appointment. And as one last ditch effort, Kaitlin tries to flee. And as you can imagine, she didn't make it very far.
If it wasn't so tragic as it applies to Mo's death, it might be comical. We know that we have a murderer who's trying to get away with killing this beautiful young woman and not having to pay the ultimate price for it.
In November 2023, Kaitlin Armstrong's trial begins for the murder of Moriah Wilson.
The last thing Mo did on this earth was scream in terror. Those screams are followed by 2 gunshots. And after 4 or 5 seconds silence, Kaitlin Armstrong stood over Mo Wilson. And for good measure, the defendant put another bullet right in the heart.
Premeditation. I think that's always the difficult hill for prosecutors to climb. I think she intended to go there to kill her. When you see the vehicle circling even before Ms. Wilson gets home, the gun, all of those things, that does point to intent and premeditation.
There were 3 shell casings covered at the scene. Caitlin's gun. The result was that those test cases were identified as being the same as fired from that gun. There's 4 video surveillance cameras that Captain Kaitlin Armstrong circling Cash's house for about an hour before the murder.
Prosecutors at this point just want to make sure that they have an air-sealed case. Law enforcement is pulling the GPS data on the Jeep. Lo and behold, that GPS shows that Kaitlin had been driving right near the crime scene on the days of the homicide.
The defense, however, had a different argument.
Was Kaitlin in the black Jeep? Who had access to the black Jeep? Who had access to the key fob to the black Jeep? Colin claimed he saw Kaitlin Armstrong come out of a black Jeep. How amazing that the one fact that he seemed to remember with greater clarity over time was the single fact that drew attention away from him, pointed the finger at Kaitlin Armstrong.
Go back
All of the circumstantial evidence pointed directly back to Kaitlin
I
Armstrong.
just accidentally kicked my
But
dog. She was
CCTV
right underneath the
footage
table.
from
Go on,
that
girl.
day
Go back
when
there.
Mo was murdered, there was never actually an image captured of
Mummy's
Kaitlin
sorry.
Armstrong entering the home.
Mummy's sorry.
Not one
Oops, what happened
saw Kaitlin Armstrong
there? Have you pulled my things
allegedly
out, Carly?
commit this murder. Not one,
I got no sound now.
because there isn't one. You did not
Let me
hear
just
about
pause this
any
minute, guys.
direct evidence
That's better.
showing Kaitlin Armstrong is responsible for this crime, because there isn't any.
The defense argued the evidence is not indicative Kaitlin Armstrong is a killer. Perhaps someone else had the motive and opportunity.
Rick, come on, Costa Rica. What are you, an idiot? Come on. She ran. She ran. Only a guilty person would run.
Exactly.
We do know that Kaitlin Armstrong routinely traveled internationally with little notice. Was she scared? Do you think that she may have been concerned a little bit that her boyfriend had killed someone? Or if not that whoever killed Moirah Wilson might want to kill Kaitlin Armstrong next?
People and commentators will talk about how, well, she escaped. So that's admitting guilt. She ran away. But the reality is that's actually not a useful tactic at a trial, because you can't usually prove someone's guilt just because they ran away.
What about those guns? Colin bought those guns. Colin told her to train with the gun. DNA swabs were taken from inside black Jeep. Never tested. Why? Why not? Unknown DNA profile on the seat, unknown DNA profile on these handlebars, unknown DNA profile on the gun. That does not make sense. Boston Police Department did not want a single piece of evidence in front of you that might point away from Kaitlin Armstrong.
It was put forward that perhaps Colin Strickland was responsible, that he had just as much reason to want Mo dead.
The shell casings obviously matched the guns that we knew had been purchased by Mr. Strickland, but then were in the custody of Ms. Armstrong.
In this life, we know a lot of things beyond a reasonable doubt. But that Kaitlin Armstrong is a murderer, that she committed this crime, do we know that? Are you certain?
However, prosecutors had one more trick up their sleeve: cold, hard DNA.
This is where it gets interesting. We go back to that bike that was found.
They swab DNA from Mo Wilson's bike, that there's a very strong likelihood that the DNA on the seat of the bike included DNA from Kaitlin Armstrong.
Caitlin's DNA was found on Moirah Wilson's bicycle. So now we basically have that fingerprint in a sense.
Mo Wilson is a 25-year-old prodigy taken from Matt and Mr. and Miss Wilson. the state has met its burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt. I think we climbed past that mountain and climbed Mount Everest. Overwhelmed. I only ask you to do one thing. Justice for Mo Wilson.
After days of testimony from over 40 witnesses, the case is handed off to the jury. And after 2 hours of deliberations,
Only 2
they
hours.
return with their verdict.
2 hours.
The
Wow.
defendant will please rise. The state of Texas versus Kaitlin Armstrong. Verdict of the jury. We, the jury, find the defendant, Kaitlin Armstrong, guilty of the offense of murder as alleged in the indictment.
Obviously, this was a horrific and gruesome homicide. What I really think got her where she messed up, like many of these cases we see, is that digital footprint.
A day later, court reconvened for Kaitlin Armstrong to learn her sentence.
In accordance with the verdict that the jury has rendered, this court hereby sentences you to 90 years in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice and a $10,000 fine.
90 years. She ain't ever gonna get out of that prison, is she? She's jailbird for life.
As imposed by the jury.
Kaitlin, I want you to know that I fought for Mo with everything I had that night. I still feel so many things. Guilt for not protecting Mo, for not coming home sooner. I'm angry at you, at the senselessness. I feel deep sadness for the road ahead that Mo's family must continue to walk.
Let's face it, the world was robbed of Mo's presence. Certainly according to her friends and colleagues, she was a shining star.
I hate what you did to my beautiful daughter. It was very selfish and cowardly. If you allowed yourself to actually know her, you never, ever would have wanted to hurt her. This never would have happened. You ruined your life, your family's lives, our lives. When you shot Moriah in the heart, you shot me in my heart. Moriah is in the presence of God's pure light and love, and nothing can ever hurt her again. You killed her earthly body, but her spirit is so very much alive, and you can never change that.
Now, if you thought that was the end of the story, not quite. No, at the time of this recording, a judge has ordered that Kaitlin Armstrong must pay Mo's family $15 million in connection with a wrongful death lawsuit, all in an effort to hold her further accountable for this absolutely heinous crime. And as the Wilson family tries to find some measure of peace, we're all reminded that this race through life can suddenly be cut short before reaching the finish line. That's all we have for you here on this episode.
Wow, that's a lot of money she's got paid back to them. Yeah, so what do you think of it? 90 years in jail and all that money she's got to pay the Wilson family. It's beggars belief, it really is. I don't know how they come to the conclusion how much money she had to repay, pay the Wilson's family, but I'm glad that she's, found guilty. She was showing so many red flags that she was guilty. And I don't think running away in handcuffs helped her a little, any time. So, right, that's the end of this live, and I appreciate you listening to me and putting up with my changes of clothing. I got cold. I was hot and now I'm cold. So, all right then. Please like, subscribe, all notifications, and share. And if you fancy buying me a coffee, you're most welcome to. Because I'm not monetized on YouTube yet. I still got a long way to go before I could get monetized. So yeah, so by like and sharing, and it helps me to get into the YouTube algorithm. So until the next one, I shall bid you a good day.